Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our co-main event for UFC 322. In this one, we've got a rare matchup, ladies and gentlemen. The kind of fight where two elite champions meet not because the division demands it, but because it is simply the best fight that can be made. We have the current and two-time flyweight champion, the Bullet, Valentina Shevchenko, making her second title defense of her second reign against the now former strawweight champion, Zhang Magnum Weili. For Shevchenko, you have a dominant champion who has ruled this division for many, many years, taking on a former champion who never lost the belt in competition. And I meant to say two-time strawweight champion for Weili. But simply put, you have Weili, who was the former strawweight champion who vacated her belt to pursue double champion glory, and a champion who has evolved every single time we've seen her. There's no trash talk here. There's no gimmicks. Just two of the most complete fighters in women's MMA, with styles that have been sharpened through experience, adversity, and championship pressure. It's the kind of fight that tells us far more about where the sport is right now than where either fighter came from. So let's settle in and break down what makes this matchup so compelling. So, kind of giving some context for this, if you don't know who these two are, Valentina Shevchenko has held a grip on the women's flyweight division for years and did it with consistency. The same calm presence, the same measured pace, the same disciplined approach. She didn't overwhelm people. She dissolved them. She took away their strengths, shut down any momentum, and dictated how every exchange needed to look. But the last few years introduced new questions. In 2022, Shevchenko this was her seventh title defense of her first reign against Tyler Santos back at UFC 275, where Santos kind of showed some cracks in the armor and pushed Shevchenko into deeper grappling waters than she had ever been. Then in her eighth title defense at UFC 285, that was March of 2023, Alexa Grasso found the holes in Shevchenko's pattern and made her uncomfortable in ways we had never seen her. She didn't fall off. She was just forced to fight without the certainty she used to have. And that's where she is kind of now. She lost the belt to Grasso. Then in the rematch, they fought to a draw where most people thought Shevchenko won. I personally scored it for Grasso, but it was a very close competitive fight. Wins the belt back in a fight that honestly makes you question how the other two fights were competitive, and Shevchenko became the two-time flyweight champion by simply kind of pulling a GSP and consistently out-wrestling Grasso. And then most recently, she defended her title for the first time in her second reign against Manon Fiorot this May, against an opponent that looked like could match Valentino in physicality. But ultimately, Shevchenko was able to keep a firm grip on the belt. So now we see Shevchenko in a different spotlight, if you will. She's still elite, she's still very dangerous, but no longer as untouchable as she once was. Meanwhile, you got Zhang Weili, who sits as the opposite point in her arc. She is in her physical prime, technical, and mentally as well. Her early days in the UFC were built on raw explosiveness and aggression, but each fight has shown refinement, clean footwork, better setups, stronger wrestling, and real composure. She's not just winning these fights anymore. She's controlling them in ways she didn't have early in her career. Best example is the first time Weili won the belt, she ran over Jessica Andrade. Then had a fight a year with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That is still the best women's fight I've ever seen. But then Rose was able to head kick her and then out technique Weili, especially in the grappling. But since then, Weili has turned over a new leaf, knocking out Joanna in the rematch, winning the belt over Carla Esparza via out grappling her. And then you look at her three title defenses against Amanda Lemos, Yan Xiaonai, and Tatiana Suarez. Domination, domination, domination. Now, Yan Xiaonai did put up a good game effort out of the three, but she dominated these women and made it look like she's clearly a step ahead over everybody in this division. So you basically have both very skilled women, but they arrive at this meeting in different directions. One defending her legacy, one expanding hers. And that's what makes this such a rare and high level matchup. I'm telling you right now, my humble opinion. I know there's Manu Nunes versus Chris Cyborg as what's often called the best women's MMA fight, or at least the one with most legacy. For me, not only whoever wins this is, of course, the number one pound for pound woman in the UFC right now, but I think it might be the best female fighter we've ever seen. If we're talking about technique and well-roundedness, I feel like these two are the best. But that's my opinion. I know Amanda Nunes is the women's GOAT. She will always be the women's GOAT, even to me. But whoever wins between Shevchenko and Weili, I really makes me think maybe they're the best female fighter we've seen, or at the very least, the best female fighter today, even if Amanda Nunes returns. So looking at their styles, starting with Shevchenko, her style has centered around control. She stays balanced, stays patient, and Shevchenko makes opponents fight at the lane she chooses. When she's comfortable, everything looks so sharp. The counters with her left hand from southpaw, steady calf kicks, quick high kicks, the one like she knocked out Jessica Ai with, looked like she killed her. The reactive takedowns, the clean body trips. Shevchenko is very good at making she's really good at making reads and punishing impatience. And she's one of the best defensive fighters in the sport, regardless of gender. She doesn't need speed to avoid damage. Shevchenko uses angles and positioning. She's rarely out of her stance, rarely caught reaching, and very, very rarely gives opponents easy opportunities. But when fights become chaotic, when the pace rises unexpectedly, or when opponents force clinches is that she does not initiate, Valentina starts having to solve problems instead of dictating them. And solving those problems have gotten harder as the division catches up. And now she can still shut fighters down, but now she has to work for it, especially with Flyweight getting more and more new fighters who are a lot more physical, a lot stronger, like Manafior was able to make it a competitive fight. You got Natalia Silva in the wings, who's one of the fastest fighters, if not the fastest in the division, and so on and so forth. Now for Weili. Weili fights with more layers than I think people give her credit for. Yes, the power is there, obviously. Yes, the speed is there. Again, obvious. But what makes her so effective today is how she blends it all. Weili doesn't rush, she doesn't burn herself out, and she doesn't rely on one idea. She pressures in waves, picks her moments instead of forcing them. Now, Weili's striking has become more fluid than I have ever seen. And Weili moves between combinations without really any hesitation, mixing her straight shots with hooks and kicks that come up quickly. And Weili's hard to time because she doesn't throw with consistent rhythm like this. But when she wants to step into range, she does it with purpose, either drawing out a counter or shutting one down. And you've seen the improvements in Weili's wrestling has made her a completely different fighter entirely. She now shoots clean doubles. Weili can body lock, and Weili has the strength to adjust mid takedown. And on top, she's heavy and active, mixing good ground and pound in transitions that force opponents to consistently defend either submissions or the ground and pound. Now, and Weili is not a wild fighter anymore. She's controlled, she's measured, and hard to push backward for long. And that blend of skill and physicality is what makes Weili one of the most dangerous women in all of MMA. Now, when it comes to the style, it is a very layered and nuanced fight for me. This matchup comes down to who can make the other fighter uncomfortable first. For Valentina, First, Valentina wants the fight at long range. And Shevchenko can read single shots, use her counters, and keep the pace slow enough to process everything. When she controls the tempo, Shevchenko becomes very difficult to beat. But Weili doesn't allow extended comfort. Weili closes range in stages. Not charging in, but stepping in behind good feints, combinations, and now level changes. And Weili is very good at getting opponents to back up even when she isn't throwing. And the moment you give Weili ground, she's just going to take more. The clinch exchanges may be the biggest swing factor. Valentina is technical and clean there, but Weili might be stronger and more explosive. And if Weili can force clinch battles repeatedly, I think Weili will start pulling the fight in her direction. you also got to think of the grappling, how the ground game is going to matter in this fight. Valentina is smart and experienced, and she won't get overwhelmed easily. In fact, most of the time, even against so-called better grapplers, Shevchenko dominates them, especially from that crucifix position, which is her best position. But Weili's top pressure is also very good, and she has improved her scrambling abilities to where even Tatiana Suarez and Carla Esparza, some of the best wrestlers in her division, were not able to not only take Weili down, but not able to scramble from bottom. And Weili can get a strong takedown early, the tone is going to change real fast. This isn't a matchup where either fighter dominates from start to finish. I can't see that happening. Now, there is a question of how does Weili look at 125 pounds? Obviously, that's a question that can only really be answered, one, in the weigh-ins, and two, when we see her in the cage. And of course, Weili is proven to be too small. Shevchenko could just, in theory, hold her down with her wrestling like she did Alexa Grasso in the third fight. But even then, I don't think that's going to happen. Weili has shown to be a freak athlete. I mean, this woman picked up fucking Shaq and Ngannou on a high crotch. I mean, Weili, let's not act like Weili doesn't have freaky strength. I mean, I think she might be the stronger fighter in there, and obviously the more explosive athlete. So I don't think this is a fight where one fighter can dominate from start to finish, like I said. I think they're going to trade moments, and they'll find each other's rhythm at times. But the fighter who's with more ways to create momentum, with striking, with pace, with wrestling and pressure, will win, I think, the fight in total. Now, the question I have, is there going to be a finish? That's the big thing. Shevchenko is very hard to finish. I mean, she's been finished only in Alexa Grasso. Only Alexa Grasso was able to submit her. Every other fight she's lost is by a decision, mostly to Amanda Nunes. Weili's been finished before, the head kick to Rose. But other than that, Weili's proven to be historically very, very durable. This is a fuck, man. This is such a close fight. I've been struggling. Like, when the fight opened up, it was a pick-em, rightfully so. Both of these women more or less are in their prime. I think Weili's more in her prime than Shevchenko, but Shevchenko's proven, even at 37, she's seemingly still a little above her peers in terms of pure technique and skill. This is a razor sharp fight where I think either women can take rounds, depending on who can control the distance and pace. Valentina will have her pockets of success, clean counters, well-timed kicks, and moments where she slows things down and gets Weili thinking. Those moments are real and meaningful. But I think over time, the physicality, the layered offense, and the pressure that Weili brings begin to matter more and more. She doesn't need to rush. She just needs to keep Shevchenko from settling. And she's good at doing exactly that. Let's look at her three title defenses, right? And each one were completely different. You had Amanda Lamos, a power puncher. You had Yao Xiaonai, one of the fastest, if not the fastest fighter in the weight class, and Suarez, who's the best wrestler. Weili executed not only great game planning, but dictated the fight through her layered offense. With Lamos using dominant wrestling and control. With Yao Xiaonai, dominant wrestling and control mixed in with good striking. And then Suarez, great takedown defense, scrambling abilities, and just overall clearly better striking. Different approaches, but layered offense where she's blending her striking and grappling and control all seamlessly. By the later rounds, I think the momentum leaned towards the fighter who can consistently win the small battles, the clinch breaks, the transition, the entries, the exit. And in this matchup, I think it's Zhang Weili. So my official prediction, I'm going to pick Zhang Weili in an absolutely competitive fight. But I think a fight where she does win. I'm going to pick Zhang Weili, and I'm officially going to pick her via decision in this one. But like I said, make no mistake, this is a high-level fight. Legacy defining, for sure. Two champions meeting at just the right time with styles that create a matchup you don't want to blink through. And like I said, man, it has possibility of being boring. Absolutely. Any fight does. But I think the legacy and the importance of this fight, I just can't see this fight being boring. I really can't. I just think you have two highly skilled, technical women who are leaps and bounds ahead of just about everybody. And now we finally get to see which of these two is the best. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this fight. If you like the video, leave a comment and subscribe. Like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on who you think's gonna win. Also in the comment section, I'd love to hear whoever you think win. Do you think they're the best female fighter ever or just of today? Hey, and also another note. Oh, please let me know who you think's gonna win. I'd love to hear who you think is gonna win and how. With that being said, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see you all next time.